Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who has a great future in retail management. It's Niall Moore.
I am the Niall Moore machine, zero defects. God help us.
Hey, do you ever go slam dancing?
I can't say that I have. It sounds like I don't even know what slam dancing is.
She gets into it, doesn't she? The lady that he works with.
Yeah,
Wendy's a maniac.
yeah, Wendy, who turns up at the nightclub later on, like the random, very, very 80s nightclub with fire and just 80s vibes everywhere.
Yeah, she's a partier. She lives.
Yeah.
She kind of
And
lives. Wait, she
apparently
works to
all you
live.
need to do in order to win her heart is to turn up at a club wearing a fairly ugly suit.
That doesn't fit you well.
Yeah, that's her thing.
I do love though when she's like you're like the only person I've slept with everybody in the place, but you're the only one that's reasonably attractive. And at the end she's like we should date, not exclusively. And Martin Short's like nah, I'm good. I'm fine,
Well,
Jack.
he was on a mission then,
Yeah, that's
he had
true.
stuff to do.
But I do like Wendy though, man. She's like unapologetic and just kind of owns it. She sort of works to live. She's not like
Yeah,
defined by it. It just makes me happy. But this movie, the
well, she's
bench.
probably not got a great career in retail management either.
He's oh man, okay. So watching this movie, one thing I do love about it is I was like, there's a lot to this movie, Niall. So you recommended it. I know it's one of your favorites, correct?
Yeah, so this was a movie that I'd watched when I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 and just loved it. It was just like, oh my God, it's so cool. Like shrinking, I was really into things shrinking and like just general sci-fi. And it's like, oh, it's so cool. Like he gets put inside the guy's body and then silly things happen, like his face gets changed and there's like electroshocks and like all this almost Looney Tunes kind of humor. I just loved it. And then I hadn't watched it for years. And it was only when you were kind of asking me, oh, what kind of film should we do next? And I was like, we should totally do this one. It's a classic.
I love your picks too because we've done Back to the Future, Steven Spielberg produced, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Steven Spielberg produced, and now we're on to Innerspace, the Steven
Another
Spielberg
Spielberg.
produced film, the 80s we're covering here, and we've done a lot of Zemeckis. So I love the theme. But this
Well,
movie,
this one apparently was offered to Zemeckis, but he turned
oh,
it down.
I'm happy Dante did it. I think he gets the
Yeah,
the theme of this movie and just, I mean, you watch the visual effects and they're just beautiful. But I love how they did these. They had like green onions. They just had the weirdest stuff to make all the props for
they
this
yeah,
movie.
they just basically built, massive like miniatures, and just like filmed, like they just had this backlot where they were just building bits of human body and kind of filling it with like balloons and all sorts of other random stuff just to try and get the look and feel of the inside of the body.
And like
It's amazing.
they used diamond dust. They said it was a thing that goes into cosmetics, but they're saying it's a very fine glitter. So they just put that in the
Yeah.
water and so the sub's lights could sparkle off of it. I mean, they're like the craziest things. They're just looking for produce that they could find. Just the weirdest, like, I don't know. I just love how they made this happen, but it looks so good. You watch this now, and when Tuck is getting sucked into Putter's heart, and then he uses his ship to kind of anchor in, then he cuts through and gets out. It still looks great. I
Yeah.
think it's beautiful. And Ebert thought that they actually used real world. In the commentary, they said that Ebert said in his review, yeah, they used real footage from the body.
I've actually seen Ebert's review,
Yeah.
and he did say that he's like, I thought they were using, real medical footage basically. And then apparently Joe Dante sent him one of the prop pieces afterwards, saying, "Here's how we did it."
Yeah, that's amazing. They said they just had a bunch of them laying around, and just like even the scene where you have Victor Scrimshaw when and Dr. Margaret Kanker when they get shrunken, like they shot that practically with just forced perspective. They just built a big ol' like put in a sound stage, had that like there like just they built that giant phone booth, see, like and then
Yeah,
had people riding in front of it. I mean, this is what I love about the movies we've talked about is Who Framed Roger Rabbit really furthered the visual effects world and animation world, the way they were able to blend all of that. And then you watch Inner Space and you just look at the visual effects that they had and just the practicality and just them having fun. It's like I don't know, this movie has just aged so well. And then with Dennis Quaid being just he's supposed to be not like really grizzled when he made this movie, but I think it was
Yeah, he's
32.
supposed to be kind of a washed out,
Yeah.
like alcoholic kind of former Navy or former like Air Force hotshot pilot kind of guy.
And he joins the ranks of ripped alcoholics. So we have
Yeah.
Jason Statham from The Meg. We have Lieutenant Tuck Pendleton from Innerspace. We have Patrick Wilson from Moonfall. So I think there's a hall of fame of ripped, washed out alcoholics.
Yeah, they seem to be able to, keep it pretty trim despite their drinking problems.
Why do washed out alcoholics always? So Jason Statham has to go battle the Meg.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson has to go to the moon to save the world, and Tuck just volunteers to get shrunk and go inside which is really dangerous to go in there. So I mean, am I being
I assume
punished?
he needed the money.
Oh yeah, for
In
more
that
beer.
case, it's just like, hey, all right, I'll do science things to get money. It seems like an easy enough gig. I just sit in this pod and drive it around a little bit.
This is a movie that says some interesting things to say about alcoholism too, because Tuck, while he's inside Martin Short's body, Jack Putter's body, he has Jack drink alcohol so that he can snag some in his flask and drink it. Like that's
That's pretty, it shows what state he was in, I guess. It's just like, it's like the first thing he's thinking about is like, okay, we're in my apartment now, get the booze.
It's great. But like it's handled so casually, but it's such a it's secondhand booze too.
Well,
I guess if you drink it fast.
I guess how much of it would have actually, touched the other person? He's already inside somebody. At that scale, there's probably sufficient amounts that haven't touched the sides.
That's true. So he's able to get some, pure booze that hasn't been touched by saliva or other stomach linings. And then he just drinks it. Oh, it makes me. I love it. But like, have you ever seen a movie where the hero has the other hero stop halfway through just so he can get some secondhand booze in him? Like it's kind of
it's a kind of a unique scene, I guess. It's you do. I guess you do see certain things where one of the heroes is like, I need to get a drink, but it's never secondhand.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before, and that's what Innerspace is great for. I haven't seen a lot of these visuals.
That's what makes, and I think that's kind of down to Joe Dante as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes the film interesting, is that he runs with the kind of core premise and then adds some silliness to it while he's there. That is a very, very silly scene. It's like, oh, we've got this guy in him. Hey, he'll stick out a hip flask and catch some booze. We'll play it for laughs. It's great. It's not a commentary on alcoholism and how he's struggling with addiction.
No, I just love it. It's not something to think about deeply at all. It's like the bar scene from Gremlins, where you have Gremlins just getting plastered with booze halfway through.
Yeah.
It's a good through line for his movies on that. But I don't know. It's something I guess that gives this movie personality too. And you know what else I like is, this movie didn't do well when it was initially released in theaters, but I wonder if it is because, how do you explain this movie? So yes, a guy shrinks himself and gets inserted into the wrong body. This is a really hard movie to give a synopsis to, because you have Tuck Pendleton, right? He gets shrunk, but then the laboratory gets raided, and then a scientist escapes. He gets chased by Vernon Wells, the guy from Commando and Mad Max. He finds...
Who, for some reason only has one mechanical arm.
Yeah.
With multiple attachments, which is a whole, there are some interesting attachments on that.
Oh, yeah. And they had another guy cast, and then they ended up firing him because he wasn't big enough. So then they brought in Vernon Wells for that.
Yeah, it was apparently he was the same height as Martin Short, and it just didn't seem intimidating enough to have him as the antagonist.
Yeah, listen, it makes sense though, that you probably want to have a big person chasing him, and Vernon does well, great death.
Yeah,
but
well, he doesn't say a word in the entire movie. He hasn't got a single line of dialogue. He's just this menacing presence.
And then you have, so he gets inserted with it, and then he goes to his job. But then Tuck puts an earpiece into his ear and then drills into his eyeball. And then they go to a laboratory, but then they can't keep him there because Tuck might die. So then they go to his house and they get drunk, and then they go meet Meg Ryan, who's a reporter. But then they meet Victor Scrimshaw. He gets put into a van, and then
And then there's a car chase.
Yeah,
and
there's a car chase.
then for some reason, Robert Picardo is a cowboy.
Yeah, the cowboy. And then the main character becomes Robert Picardo all of a sudden. And then Rob Bottin special effects make his face blow up. And then the villains get shrunken, and there's a car chase fight with 50% people. And then they go back and they bring Tuck out, but then Tuck gets married to Lydia. I mean, Lydia's pregnant.
Yeah.
Tuck gets married to her, and then at the end, Jack becomes more confident. But Gremlins.
That is basically the synopsis, and that is one of the reasons, like one of the reasons that Joe Dante reckons it didn't do well was because the marketing was all over the place. They didn't know how to market this movie, and they couldn't come up with a better title for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with his other movies, it was like, okay, Gremlins, that's fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Small Soldiers, that's, self-explanatory. Innerspace, what's that about?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is it? And they said they just couldn't think of anything better. I loved hearing them on the commentary. They're like, yeah, we just couldn't think of anything, so we stuck with it. And the synopsis on IMDb is: a test pilot is miniaturized in a secret experiment and accidentally injected into a hapless store clerk. But like, what? That doesn't really even explain the movie. It just kind of explains something that happens in it. But it doesn't matter though, because this is a roller coaster. That's just an absolute joy. And I think you broke it down well. I wish I would have watched this when I was younger, because there's so much silliness into it. There's great visual effects. You have Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You love when people get shrunk, that kind of movie. Then you have, who directed that? Joe Johnston directed that. And then you just have silly gags, kind of funny bits, some dancing, and a good soundtrack. And it's just a good picture. It's fun. But yeah, I think you're right. This would be a hard movie to market if you were. Because the original pitch for this was Jerry Lewis gets put inside Dean Martin's body. But I guess Martin Short, or wait, Dennis
was it the
Quaid,
other way around?
Yeah, Dennis Quaid placed inside. Wait, oh yeah, Dean Martin placed inside Jerry Lewis's body, and then you have
it was the straight man inside the funny man, and then and it was originally supposed to be it was actually originally supposed to be just a spy thriller kind of thing, and it didn't have any of the comedy in it, and it got rewritten by, his name escapes me. He did
Jeffrey Boehm,
Last Crusade. Yeah,
he's a beast. He's written some movies.
Yeah.
Dead Zone. He wrote The Phantom. That makes me happy. There's Innerspace too.
Yeah, it's
he wrote
was there
Lost
an Innerspace too?
It said a short, but he did Lost Boys.
Oh yeah.
Look at this run.
Yeah, he's got chops.
Dead Zone, Lethal Weapon, Innerspace, Lost Boys, and then did Funny Farm, but then Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Lethal Weapon 2 and 3. Oh, he wrote The Adventures of Briscoe County? Oh, and The Phantom. This dude's like my favorite now. I loved him. I love Bruce Campbell. No, but the problem was, in this movie, you have Dennis Quaid being inserted into Martin Short. And I mean, Martin Short was coming off of SCTV. He had some decent roles, but he wasn't huge.
He'd been in Three Amigos, I think, the previous year as well. But that was, and I think he'd been on SNL as well.
That movie didn't do real well though, Three Amigos, when it came out. Even though I love it now, I adore that movie. You got me a sweater. But I guess you kind of think, let's take these two iconic people and let's put one inside the other. But I guess in this one you have Dennis Quaid, who writes stuff. He had made a name for himself being placed inside Martin Short. So just kind of, I could see how audiences were a little not indifferent towards it, but they were just sort of, why is Ned Niederlander in this movie? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. Does that make sense?
And then you've got Henry Gibson as like the like convenience store manager boss guy. Like, I just can't see him without thinking of Illinois Nazis. Like, every time I see him, I'm just like, I immediately go there.
He's perfect in this movie, though. He is, his just line delivery is just wonderful. Henry Gibson's in this.
Yeah, his timing's fantastic.
He just knows how to get a laugh out of it. And I mean, listen, there's a lot of fun stuff in it. It was like, play with it, don't talk to it. Like, that's a really weird line, but I adore it. And then, I don't know, Meg Ryan was in this after Top Gun. This is one of her first starring roles. So it was just a really interesting cast. But I gotta say, Dennis Quaid's really likable in this movie. I think he nails it. Like the beginning when he's in this kitchen fight, like you just buy into the guy.
Yeah, he's got that, bravado. that he's like you see in some of his later movies as well. You know, the cocky smile and the kind of easy charm.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And even though he was 32 on the commentary, they said, well, he looks like he's 40. They're like, he's lived. So I thought that was kind of a
And
funny.
then Meg Ryan, she was only like 26 or 27, I think, when she was filming it. So she was still pretty young.
And she was good. She's really good in
Yeah.
this movie. But it's just there's so much, but there's so much fun to it as well. But I guess it's definitely a Joe Dante movie because he just kept finding gags to put in, and but also I think Martin Short. I think his. What do you think his best moments are in this movie? I think it's when he's in the elevator with those people and he's sort of go on his way to
When he's
the
kind of
doctor.
trying to talk, just that whole sequence, not just the elevator, but when he sat at the doctor's office and he's like, and he's holding a conversation sort of with the three people. He's like talking to Tuck as well as like, oh, I don't think we need to talk. And the lady's like, oh, that's fine. It's like, okay, maybe we will talk. I don't know. And it's like, well, if you want to talk, I'll talk to you.
And it's pitch perfect. He's beautiful in that. And you know they shot that with 2 extras originally, and it just wasn't working. So then he brought in his friends for the scene, and it just
Nice.
pays off. So I think that's his best moment when he's like, listen, I know his physical comedy is amazing, but I think that's when he's I don't know, he's trying to act at least a little bit like a straight man, I guess,
Yeah.
losing his mind. But I love his doctor too. Like, you're a cornerstone of my practice, and he's like, you're definitely not possessed. That guy's kind of he's a maniac, isn't he? Because didn't he say if you're possessed?
He was in like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something as well, I think, as a doctor.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. He was he was in the he was the amazing shrinking man's doctor.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and but his
Which you have to think was deliberate.
oh, I mean, Dante mentioned it, and he said it's an inside joke that nobody got.
Yeah.
Babe, well, you got it. You were on that. That was good. But I also he's like, you're not possessed, because if you were possessed, you would be trying to talk to me. Like, but he said it so deadpan. I love that doctor. He's probably the MVP of this movie. But there's so many characters. It's such a strong bench. And I know I'm all over the place, but so is this movie, and so is Joe Dante.
Yeah, you've got, even you've got like the scientist guys at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of them was the cinematographer was the guy who's like the scientist who has to eventually injects Tuck into Jack. That was actually the cinematographer.
Oh,
Because
wow.
they liked him reading so much, they ended up just casting him.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, they fit in. Let's see, who else? I know that they had real scientists. They brought in real scientists to be the extras in those scenes. Oh man, such a
To
silly
do sciencey things in the background.
How cool would it have been to have been part of that ILM crew in the 80s that worked on Roger Rabbit, that worked on like Dennis Muren. I mean, this dude's won 6 Oscars.
Well, yeah, they got, ILM in the 80s were doing like Empire, Jedi, this, like Roger Rabbit. Some of the work is just incredible.
And you know what I love about ILM? Steven Summers was talking about this on Mummy. He said that they just would do impossible shots. So the people at ILM, they want you to just give them something impossible. It seems like they thrive in that world, which makes, because I mean,
that's part of the challenge. If you are just getting the same mundane stuff every time, I see it at work where it's like, okay, fine, I'm doing the same thing I've done hundreds of times. It'll take me 2 weeks and it'll be done. Whereas if something new comes along, you're like, I don't know how you could do that. That seems really difficult. And you just like have this completely different process where you spend a lot of time just figuring out, this has never been done before. How could we do it?
oh, yeah, you're kind of living on the, you're sort of not living on the edge, but you don't really know what you're doing. And so you're just experimenting, and you're just, I don't know, I think there's something thrilling about that. And I also like that they challenged themselves in this movie not to gross people out. Like, they didn't want it to look like they didn't want the inside of the body to look like hell. They wanted it to look like a healthy, happy body. And I think they did that pretty much. I mean, it's...
Yeah, they didn't go too dark on the color palette. Like, the only kind of gruesome-ish piece is in the stomach, which is kind of meant to be gruesome, I guess, given what happens there, with the Mr. Igo getting dissolved or whatever.
An all-time henchman death.
It's a pretty good one. It's definitely up there.
If you're an actor, okay, I have a question, Niall. You're a henchman in a movie. Which three death scenes would you want? So you're a henchman. So I would take Batman. Remember when Bob gets shot by Joker? I would
Oh
want to
yeah,
be that because it's just so memorable.
that's
I,
a good one.
I'd want to melt in
Um,
stomach acid.
I quite like getting decapitated by mal-tempered sea bass from Austin Powers,
Yes. Oh, that'd be
which
beautiful.
is basically just playing on the trope of the henchman deaths. But that's my favorite of those ones.
Oh, and I would also want to be one of the guys who's chasing Logan or Wolverine on a speeding train through Japan. Because if you're a henchman and you're battling a mutant with healing powers who has claws for hands and who's on top of a speeding train, the last thing as a henchman you want to do is get on top of that speeding train with two knives and try to battle Wolverine. But people try it. And I feel like that's a pretty good way to go down. If people could share that story, like what happened to Hoffmeyer? Well, he was a henchman fighting a mutant on top of a speed train in Japan.
So yeah, okay,
Like
pretty
that's
good way to go.
yeah, exactly. It's better than being one of the guys in Commando who just gets shot.
Where Arnie just stands there spraying bullets and they just run into an open field and just get absolutely mowed down. Yeah.
At the very least, I want to be the stuntman who jumps on a trampoline and then gets exploded into the air. You know, you watch Desperado, they were just jumping off trampolines. There's two guys who did all the jumping stunts in Desperado because they didn't have much money, and you see them just flying. So I would be a trampoline guy who gets blown up. But yeah, that'd be my fourth pick. But I would definitely want to die in
Interesting.
stomach acid.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Why does the ship hold up?
Um,
Tucks.
Metal.
It's true.
It's neutral. I guess it's. Yeah, I think it would need to be submerged in acid a lot longer in order to dissolve.
I mean, it's
I
pretty
did
tore
actually
up.
look up the properties of stomach acid before this, and I think they exaggerated the speed of the dissolving for effect. But yeah, it would dissolve a person.
Really?
Yeah, it's got like a pH of like 1 to 3. If it can dissolve meat, it can dissolve.
Wow. So there is some science in here? Like
Yeah,
there's
but it would take like it says like if you have a pork rib, it'll take like 4 hours to dissolve it.
got it.
So it's not going to dissolve in like 20 seconds.
That's a good point. I was reading an article on Medium about this movie, and the person who was writing about it, they write about a lot of movies that deal with science. And they said at the time of this movie, a lot of movies were just kind of yada yadaing science into movies. Just, hey, there's our science movie, but they could care less about science. But the thing they liked about this movie is that, listen, it's not going to happen, but at least it respects science. Does that make sense? The person for Medium was
Yeah,
really happy about
it's
that.
at least kind of it's aware that science is a thing. Um, you know, it at least nods in the direction of science and says, "Yeah, I see you over there looking at me.
The robot arm bit.
I'll accept your criticism, but I'm just trying to tell a story here."
But I think I just love that about this movie too. It's where I don't know. I feel like the science, at least I feel like it tries. Remember when they're talking about inside, like he'll just go in there and he'll breathe the oxygen in his throat. Well, that can't happen because that would
Yeah, he'll
depressurize.
depressurize the pod.
Like,
And it's like, okay, that makes sense. He's in a pressurized pod. If he opens the hatch, it will depressurize, and then, yeah,
yeah. So
that makes
there's
sense.
they explain some things. They don't explain how the ship doesn't just crash onto that guy's glasses. But other than that,
Yeah, that was some very, very stupid science dudes. It's, it's like, okay, here's what's happening. He's trying to make himself sneeze. They were not prepared for that in the slightest. Like, what happens if he sneezes like 1 inch to the right? Are they like scrabbling around on the floor trying to find this like tiny pod?
yeah, they're never finding this. Like at least sneeze into his coat or
Or just like, put up like one of those plastic films from like an overhead projector, which I'm sure they have lying around, being sciencey
oh,
types. Just like sneeze on that, and then you're good.
because that I feel like that ship would have crushed against those glasses, unless it's one of the most powerful ships ever. Who cares? This movie's lovely. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
a sphere, we could assume like the density is pretty high and it's spherical, so it's quite strong.
All right.
We can give them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm sold. I mean, even if I like the pressurization moment, even if you don't understand the science, at least you respect that they explained it to you or tried to at least.
Yeah. Well, they at least put in a nod to, they basically preempted the the plot hole finders later who'd be like, oh yeah, why didn't you just like open up and breathe the air? Ugh.
You know what's one of my biggest annoyances, and I know that they get a lot of views, but GQ will occasionally do, real scientists watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kid, and the scientists are like, that would never happen. It's like, I'm like, this is a movie. It's, of course it wouldn't happen, but that's like a whole bumper industry where they just have people watching videos and saying how not applicable it is to the situation. But that always annoys me. I don't know. Does you feel that
Yeah,
same way?
it's irritating. Some people just take themselves too seriously. And they're like, oh, well, this couldn't possibly happen because the spin of the neutrino is the opposite direction. And, it just throws the calculations out completely. I can't even take it seriously.
The only time I ever liked it is when a marine biologist watched shark movies and she saw Deep Blue Sea and said that the mako shark looked exactly like a mako shark. And she couldn't get over how accurate it was. So that made me really happy.
Was it just a mako shark?
Yeah. But, dude, like, they're the smartest sharks and they're the fastest, so it makes sense to make them the smartest. So she was actually really impressed with the science of Deep Blue Sea, which makes me happy. I mean, of course, she said it's not applicable, but I don't know.
Yeah, but at least there's some, and you get like Neil deGrasse Tyson will kind of like go in and be like, oh, this wouldn't happen or that wouldn't happen and stuff. And like, oh, well, it's a movie.
Yeah. And I get, but like, I guess they just get views. I mean, we have a podcast talking about movies, so I guess we can't just say it was a movie, but come on, it's a movie. I don't know. Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah, you can. I think the key is you can be constructively critical without like just dismissing things out of hand.
Truth. No, that makes sense. And also too, like, these movies don't take place in our universe. They take place in the universe of that movie. So I don't see how they would.
And within that universe, maybe the laws of physics are slightly different, and they allow you to shrink people using little round red microchips for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that you know what I do love the one
really really slow moving mechanical arms like.
That's like a 10-second scene. Give me that, and he doesn't even let the thing finish, which makes me happy. And also too, Dante joked around about when Tuck gets small, like, why is Tuck spinning? Why is there? Because when they went to the other lab, they just blasted him with lights and everyone shrunk. But I just thought that was pretty funny because everyone in the commentary booth started laughing. They're like, because it looks great. Like that's why. But I don't know.
Well, it comes down to different approaches, right? There's more than one way to make an omelet, and so these guys have been like, yeah. We really think that the spinning gives us an energy saving, due to the extra angular momentum of the pod.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, different strokes, right?
Yeah.
You get there a different way. I mean, it worked. Worked really well. Now, okay, the villain of this movie, he wanted to create nanotechnology, correct? He wanted to send satellites to space. They wanted to send satellites, but small.
So I think what he wanted to do, because it seems like the shrinking process also removes mass.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted to just shrink a bunch of satellites so that he could send them up in one rocket so that it's like dirt cheap, basically, or, comparatively cheap. And then you could re-enlarge them when they're in space. And you've sent up, 1 million satellites for the price of what would be one.
It's a pretty good plan.
Yeah. And it doesn't even seem that nefarious. It actually seems like quite a sensible use of resources for this technology.
Yeah, when they go through all these problems of kidnapping them and storming the facility, but I feel like if this man just said, "Listen, let's work together. Let's send cheap satellites into
Like,
space.
look, I want to prevent global warming by only having one rocket go up instead of lots. Um, shall we just do that? I've got a rocket right here. You've got the shrinking equipment. Work together.
Oh man, I guess they would have to find it in space, but you
Yeah.
don't need to make it that small. I guess you could put it to a point where it's what 10% of a satellite's
Well,
overall
no,
weight.
all you do, so the way you do it is you'd launch a re-enlargement chamber up there, um, put it in orbit, and what you'd do is you would have the other spacecraft rendezvous with this re-enlargement chamber, and then it would just fire out the little ones one by one. They would be re-enlarged, deployed, and then you would just do the next one. You know, it's
You're my new technical advisor, Niall. You have this all planned out. Is this your next job?
not quite, but um, I have played a lot of Kerbal Space Program.
What is that?
It's this game where you basically build rockets and try to launch them with like almost real world physics. It is really, really addictive. I've sunk hundreds of hours into it and I barely made it to Mars.
Are you a fan of October Sky?
I haven't played it.
No, the movie where Jake Gyllenhaal
I
sends rockets into space, or
don't think I've seen that one.
Laura Dern, Joe Johnston directed. It's about sending rockets. Well, no wonder you want to do Armageddon with Norbert and I. That's probably the most factual of all the movies we've covered.
Yeah, it must be.
Asteroids scream, do they not?
Obviously. Yeah, they obviously have an atmosphere to conduct sound. We went through this at the time.
Oh man, and then we had Tommy Lee Jones impersonations. Hey, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk more Innerspace. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. Niall, we do this a lot. Who should be in the remake of Innerspace?
So I had a little sneaking suspicion you were going to ask me this today. So I did do some research and kind of have a look at some actors who might fit the role. Kind of struggling with the Martin Short role. Like, I'm not too sure who would be a young. Maybe you could go for someone like super bad era Jonah Hill, kind of like where he was kind of weighing more into the comedy. It's kind of a tough one, like getting that slapstick manic energy. I think for the Meg Ryan role, I was thinking someone like Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
As like the kind of journalisty girlfriend kind of person. I was thinking for the cowboy, you'd go with Pedro Pascal.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he'd be beautiful. Some Kingsman 2 moments.
Yeah, you could do for the villains, could see like a Malcolm McDowell kind of.
Yeah, Terrence Stamp or one of those.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep.
Malcolm McDowell or a Terrence Stamp kind of thing. Maybe Julianne Moore as the kind of sexed up. She's probably a little bit old for it now. You need like who's a younger Julianne Moore.
She could still do it.
Yeah, Dr. Talker or whatever her name was.
You got a good point about Jonah. It could be Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum.
Yeah, Channing Tatum would be good. I was looking Liam Hemsworth, that kind of thing as well, as like the kind of piloty.
What about
maybe a Chris Pratt kind of?
Yeah, he could definitely be a Tuck. But I got one. What about Aubrey Plaza getting the thing injected into her? Who would be a good like Aubrey Plaza and like Channing Tatum? I feel like they would be pretty great together.
Yeah. I don't know. After watching Peacemaker, I could see John Cena do it. Like he's pretty good.
Yeah. John Cena getting the thing inside of him, right? Or is he in?
Yeah. Well, either. I think he'd be good as either.
All right, John Cena. Oh, that's funny. And Idris Elba, because they just hated each other in that movie.
Yeah, why not?
I like that. All right, I think we did it. We're done. We can leave.
Nice.
No. But also too, I mean, what I like about this movie is when you sit down in a theater to watch this film, you could never predict what's gonna happen next. So if you go watch a horror movie, you're kind of thinking, yeah, or people are gonna die, like the killer's gonna kill people. But when you go into this film, it is so. I don't think anybody could have predicted where this movie goes, and I think that's really nice.
No, it's it starts off where you've got like this drunk guy crashing apart or being, a dick at a party, and then it's like, okay, fine. And then he's kind of half recruited by his like old buddy to do this like this experiment thing. And then you're like, okay, so this is going to be it. It's just going to be all about the thing. And then there's the rabbit and all that. And then all of a sudden there are terrorists or kidnappers or whatever. And then it just goes completely left field, and all of a sudden you've got Martin Short doing like slapstick comedy for 40 minutes.
And then Meg Ryan and him kissing to swap the ship.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what kind of kissing involves ending up in a uterus, but I'll leave that to the imagination.
That's a kind of a creepy moment, though, isn't it? If you just walked
Yeah.
in and you see that, and you're going, "What is happening in this?"
Yeah, it's like, okay. And they actually built a giant baby, as Joe Dante said. It was like his 2001 giant baby that they had on set. This like huge, like set piece that they like then moved the camera around to kind of shoot.
I mean, but it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, the visual effects, the plates that they had to shoot on this movie, and just the miniatures that they worked on. I mean, what's funny? We call them miniatures, but they can sometimes take up half of a studio floor. Remember Ghostbusters and the Stay Puft? I mean, it's clearly less.
Well, it's like
It's not New York, but
Weta used to call them the bigatures.
that's what they call them?
Yeah, when on Lord of the Rings, like basically Weta used to call them their bigatures because they were like just these massive things. Like they had a Lothlorien miniature that was like huge. They had like Minas Tirith and like Helm's Deep and whatever, and like these things were absolutely massive.
And they were the bigatures?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me happy. And you think about what Escape from New York. Cameron worked on that. Those were gigantic miniatures or bigatures.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just love that. I love that creativity. I was watching Executive Decision the other day, and it was fun watching a miniature plane crash. Just watch it. It's so obvious a miniature, but it's just fun to watch. I miss that craft. And I'm not trying to be
that's the thing. In 1986, there were no computer effects.
Mm-mm.
Everything had to be done in camera or composited, or you couldn't just rely on the computer to kind of fill in the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So people had to be more creative just out of necessity, if they wanted to try to get the shots they were after.
Yeah. And I don't want to sound like that old fogey that's like, oh, it's better back in the day. Like, I think it's better now. It's more diverse. There's more voices. Those people are like, old Hollywood was better. I'm like, no, I don't think it was. But I do think the craft, right? I do think, I mean, some movies still do it. I mean, some movies really do work. I mean, Tom Cruise is out there hanging from helicopters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a dead art. But I guess, I think the nostalgia of it for me is so high because I grew up in that era where I watched Willow. I watched the Goonies. You're used to seeing it on screen, I guess, in front of you.
Well, the other thing, that gets brought up is, it helps with the actors' performances, that they actually have something physical to interact with rather than, a tennis ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, in Gremlins, they had like a real gizmo, and it was basically like, was it Corey Feldman was the kid? Yeah, was the kid, and basically he was treating this little miniature, this little gizmo like a puppy, basically, and it was more real, the performance, because there was actually a physical thing there, and the actor can kind of drive their performance based on the thing actually being there.
Absolutely. And I do think this new wall that they've created for Mandalorian, like Greg Fraser,
that's amazing.
He worked on Mandalorian. He did Dune. Have you heard about how they did the Dune when those ships fly? They like went out to the desert. They put them out in the open, and they surrounded it, and they just really wanted authenticity. And I think those walls that they have are really going to help actors because I don't know, you have it there. So I think that's a really neat workaround to an actual on-location shoot.
It gives you the impression of the scope or the scale of where you are, and you can drive performance from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it is kind of cool seeing people stare at nothing and excel. I mean, look at Bob Hoskins. There's never been someone better. I really don't think so. You watch the Jurassic Park movies, you watch the new Star Wars films, I watched Riddick the other day and he was really good with the VFX Jackal, but it is fun watching them nail that craft when there's nothing. I do think it's an
Yeah.
art to look at nothing and act, but I definitely think
But
it's
the
better
thing
to
is,
have it.
the best incidences of it tend to be when there is actually a physical actor on set. So, like Gollum in Lord of the Rings, for example.
Yeah.
Like Andy Serkis was there in mocap doing the stuff and being creepy.
Hmm.
You have, even for like Star Wars, like Ahmed Best was there dressed as Jar Jar.
Yeah. And War for the Planet
You
of
know,
the Apes had Toby Kebbell and Andy Serkis on set. Suicide Squad had King Shark, and you get good actors, right?
like Sean Gunn is there as Rocket in like the Guardians, Avengers, etc.
Yeah, so I think there's really good workarounds to it. I just I know this sounds I really just think I grew up watching these movies, so then I have a certain affinity towards them. I guess I'm not slagging on like look at the Batman or Mad Max Fury Road. The amount of VFX in those movies is astounding, but they
Yeah,
still
but it
okay,
blends
yeah,
in with all the practical stuff.
exactly. But that's like how you do it, right? Like, so
Yeah,
I'm not like a guy who's anti VFX. I'm a guy who, I mean, you watch Mad Max Fury Road and you don't know that the mountains are VFX. You don't know that
yeah.
that is
You
happening.
don't care that the mountains are VFX.
Yeah, it just looks because like you said, you build the practical and then you sort of do that. I mean, and they do that on Mandalorian. I was watching the behind the scenes footage of the Mandalorian, and I'm not going to go in depth, but I spent like years of my life standing around on film sets, and I've spent a long time, a lot of my 2015, 2016, standing in front of gigantic green and blue screens, and it's
Yeah,
tedious and it's boring. But when I saw that wall in Mandalorian, I was sitting with Megan and I almost had like a tear in my eye. Like I almost unretired from the industry because I would love to go back and see that wall because they 3D model props
yeah.
around it and then they build that wall and it's such a man. Megan was like, "Are you tearing up?" And I was like, "Yeah, like this is beautiful. This is innovation." And Jon Favreau said he built it because when he was working on Jungle Book, it was so green screen heavy that it was the most tedious thing he had ever done in his life. He's like, "There's
Yeah.
got to be a better way." And so they started to
Well,
develop the
like
screens.
something like that had to be like practically soul destroying because you're just
Yeah.
filming the entire thing, just like, okay, we have this one physical bit of a tree that you're sitting on. Just imagine there's a jungle and loads of animals, and that tennis ball is Bagheera, and Bill
Oh,
Murray's going to be playing Baloo. He's not here today.
yeah. Just wouldn't that suck your life? Because you're in a studio for all those hours. So that's why I
Yeah,
kind of like the expand. I also like this inner space. I mean, just imagine being on set when they are creating that blood, or when they're working the heart, or when they're doing the stomach acid to see the
yeah,
bigatures.
because for the heart, they had like a bunch of puppeteers basically working the valves.
Yeah,
Like it's basically they just have this big huge thing, and then they're just like they've got guys like pumping the things. I guess they're pumping water through it to like make the blood cells move.
it's
And
crazy.
yeah, that's why it won the Oscar for visual effects ahead of Predator.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
oh man, Predator's amazing, but the problem with Predator, he's probably that Predator, the Yautja is probably invisible for what 6 minutes of the movie.
yeah,
Wait, what won makeup in '87? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
1988. Did Predator better not? Predator had to have won.
Must have done.
All right, let me look. 60th Academy Awards. I know this doesn't make for the best TV here, but I gotta or podcasting, but I gotta know. Let's see.
You'd have to think it would. Like I can't think of anything else around then that would have been
Wait,
better than it. I
Harry
didn't
and
even realize Predator was nominated.
Harry and the Hendersons won best makeup. That's the 60th. Maybe I
It
should
must be
go.
six. It was 88. So
Let me look at the 61st. I know, I know. This is really curious for me because I gotta know now. Oh, so wait. Beetlejuice won Best Makeup. I don't even think
uh,
Predator was nominated.
interesting.
That's
To be fair,
that's
Beetlejuice did have pretty awesome makeup.
yeah, that's true. To be fair, do you watch Letterkenny?
I don't.
Oh, whenever. Wait, it was Best Effects in '88. Wasn't nominated for makeup.
Yeah,
That's crazy. But it wouldn't have beaten Roger Rabbit.
Roger Rabbit wouldn't have been that year. Roger Rabbit would have
Oh, Harry
been,
and the Hendersons. It would have gone up against Harry
you
and the
know,
Hendersons. That's both Stan Winston though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So either way, he wins. That's fine.
Yeah. It's
And also too, they were talking about Steven Spielberg produced movies at the time, and before this, Harry and the Hendersons, like they said that there was kind of Spielberg had a couple duds when this movie had come out, and
yeah. There were a couple. I think Joe Dante's movie before this had kind
oh
of like flopped pretty
yeah,
hard.
that was bad. Yeah, but that I mean, I kind of want to watch it now. I've never seen it. Have you watched it?
No.
Yeah, he said that that was a gigantic flop for him, but he had just released, let's see, so he had done The Money Pit, which did okay, and then he did American Tail, Amazing Stories, Harry and the Hendersons, and Innerspace. And I guess kind of that just, I don't know, I guess that his name wasn't as strong when this came out, but it's
Well,
still
yeah, I
Spielberg.
guess like Spielberg himself hadn't done too much directly in that. Like he'd done E.T. in what, 82, 83?
82.
And then,
Color Purple 85.
yeah,
So I guess his name didn't have that big of a.
which is not blockbuster, but it did win an Oscar, didn't it?
Yeah. And then he did do Empire of the Sun in 87. That was really popular, but it wasn't. So I mean, but I guess his produced movies. Maybe people were just kind of thinking, this is another one of these, but it's still a fun movie, but I guess it doesn't have the A-listers.
Well, it's like, I can't remember what movie it was. It was like Dracula Untold or something. And the poster in Korea was just like this massive cape of bats. And it was like from the producer of The Dark Knight. And it was like, okay, I can definitely see what you're trying to sell here.
Oh, they really did that.
Yeah.
I saw The Dark Knight in Korea when I was living there.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, you must have. That was a fun experience. But I'm looking at the opening weekend for this movie, and I kind of want to break down it was released in July 3rd, but it had Dragnet, Spaceballs, Beverly Hills Cop
It
2.
went up against Adventures in Babysitting, I think.
Yeah, that pulled in 3 million that weekend, but like Predator was still kicking around. Full Metal Jacket was still kicking around. So it was there's a lot of movies, and then it got wiped out by Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise.
Yeah, it just didn't. I think, it comes down to marketing. It wasn't marketed as a comedy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, got it.
It was marketed as this kind of like sci-fi thing. Like the poster is someone's thumb with like a ship on it. And it's just like, that doesn't tell you anything about this movie at all.
Yeah, it did, and yeah, no, exactly. They didn't have the Blu-ray of it yet with all the characters on it. It was just the thumb.
Yeah.
And then it was also the hand. It was three people looking at Quaid's hand, or a random hand holding something, and a couple robots. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, but okay, I have a question. You're a marketing department. How do you market this movie?
I think you got to lean into the comedic elements. It's a buddy cop. Well, not buddy cop, but it's basically a buddy movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pitch like the road comedy
with Quaid and Short. Like it's kind of like Odd Couple kind of thing, or 48 Hours. I think it come out around then. I think as well, where you had like kind of the kind of mismatched duo.
Yeah, pitch him hanging from the truck, some cool body stuff, the face blowing up, the car fight.
You could have the scene where his face changes. Like that's like, I remember the Total Recall trailer had like the scene with like the woman's face opening like all over it.
Mm-hmm. And same guy, Boutine, did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, market it a little bit better. But I mean, it's such a pleasant, amiable film. Quaid has that big smile on his face. So he's that big shit-kicking grin on his face the whole time. You got Martin Short not quite going for it. He's not up to 11. Meg Ryan being likable, but I'm just glad you recommended this to me. I really enjoyed this, and I enjoyed the commentary. I think Dante is always super fun to listen to, and just the special effects. Yeah, I think this movie all comes down to that, but it's still a fun time. So I'm glad you recommended this.
But yeah, the key is the special effects don't draw you out of the movie.
Exactly. But these weren't too grotesque. I have a question. When do you feel like you're in a movie? Like, so this sounds really random, but when you're in that heart with him beating, if you see that on the big screen nowadays, you will feel that. Like you will feel like you're in there with Tuck. Have any movies ever really immersed you with their VFX? Like Avatar is probably one of the few.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. You feel like it's there.
Like the first one. Like Yeah, Avatar, yeah, as you said, obviously is
You're there.
designed to practically.
Yeah, 3D takes you in that world. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can count them on one hand. And that's not,
Yeah.
I'm not slamming movies. I mean, that's still like feeling this way is still like scoring 100 points in a game. It's very rare. So I'm not going to say like it should happen more, but just watching this and just getting immersed in it and like seeing the wonderful special, like,
Do you know what? Blade Runner 2049.
oh yeah. Well, Villeneuve, Dune, I guess did that too.
Yeah, and Dune as well. Like you feel like totally in there almost as soon as the thing starts. You're
The,
just like, okay. With Blade Runner, it's kind of helped by Vangelis as well. Like that score just kind of brings you straight back into it. It's just like, okay, this is Blade Runner. I
that's a,
know where I am.
that's a great point. And Villeneuve, like when I watch Enemy, I felt like I was in that world. When I watch Prisoners, there's no VFX in that movie, but I felt like I was
Yeah.
sucked in that world. So I think he's a beast, isn't he? He's and Sicario, dude.
Yeah.
Deacon's cinematography in Sicario is is unbelievable. And I know that he won for Blade Runner 2049. I'm happy that Deakins has an Oscar. But you watch The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, or you watch Sicario or Prisoners. That's what. Listen, I love the cinematography in that, but the work he does in those movies makes me so happy. So whenever I teach at college, I teach lighting. I always kind of walk him through what Deakins does. I'm nowhere near Deakins. I'm not comparing myself to that, but I show him what he does. Um, and I don't have grips and a gaffer and electricians and huge trucks and generators, but I still try to like capture the general vibe of that. But this was good. Hey, before we get out, I want to be able to promote this episode. So do you want to do a quick 1987 movie draft?
Sure.
All
Let's
right.
see.
You know I love my drafts.
We do. Let's see.
It's good engagement.
1987. Well,
Movie.
yeah, it's basically free, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
1987
some
movie.
good ones.
Yeah, exactly. So I will let you, since you're the guest, you get first pick.
Um, I'm going to go for something very random. Um, The Running Man.
Whoa. All right, so I won't go big right off the bat then too. I like your style. I think you're starting to learn me here, Niall. I always lose these things. I'll take. Oh man, there's so many good ones. Let's see. Oh gosh, there's some huge ones in here. Broadcast news because I love that
Oh,
movie.
interesting.
I love broadcast news.
Um, I'm gonna go for Overboard with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
Hey, the Russ. I love it. All right, I almost just wrote Kurt Russell. Overboard. All right, so man, you're going. I like your style here. All right, I'll Oh, Raising Arizona.
Oh, nice.
That's a huge one, but that's my favorite Coen Brothers movie, so I have to take it.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, gotta go this one. With Nail and I.
With Nail and I.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's going on here, man? You're picking. I like it. This is fun. All right,
Well, I'm trying not to be obvious.
I love it. Let's see. Oh man. All right, so I don't want to. Harry and the Hendersons is fun. Man, Three Men and a Baby. If you ever have a chance, look how much money Three Men and a Baby made with inflation. It's over $300 million.
That's crazy. It is good though.
Oh, it's. I mean, yeah, it's perfect. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna lose, but I'm taking Steel Dawn because we did that on the podcast back in maybe
Nice.
2019. It's a Patrick Swayze canon movie.
Nice. Um, I'm going to take. It's so hard because there's so many like really, really like big hitters.
You can
I'm gonna
do
go
it.
Evil Dead 2.
Oh, that's huge. That one's big. I'll take Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Oh, nice.
That's a great. They're
And
both
then
perfect. Like not perfect, but they're great horror sequels.
and then for the last one, just trying to think which one do I like the
Man,
most.
there's some huge ones in here.
I'm gonna take the one we're talking about now. I'm gonna take Innerspace as my final one.
Oh, I like that. All right, so now I gotta, so I can't take, I'm not gonna take Lethal Weapon. I'm not gonna take Predators. I'm not gonna, Predator. I won't take RoboCop.
It's so ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many good ones.
I mean, Beverly Hills Cop 2 is in here, but I'm more of like a Beverly Hills Cop guy, so I'm not going to take that one. Let's see.
Yeah,
Love
you got
dramas.
Princess Bride, which is
Oh
huge.
gosh, Dirty Dancing? What
Spaceballs, like.
what is happening? All right. I know everyone's like, what? Oh, oh. I'm gonna take Planes, Trains, and Automobiles
Oh, that's a good one.
because I did there's a podcast out there they cover every minute, and I did 5 minutes of that movie. So my episode should be coming out sometime soon. So
Oh, nice.
look up Planes,
Crossover.
Trains, and Automobiles minute. That's not too big of a cheat code, is it?
Yeah, I think it's fair.
I like this. Well, this was, dude, I like it. Thanks, man. This was good. What's next?
I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, you're right. That sounds good. But I appreciate you pitching this. So, hey, where can people find you if they wanna see more of your stuff?
I am El Nilo on Twitter / Instagram / everything else.
I'll tag you on there in the post so then people can see that going on there. But this was fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Niall Moore, this is Movie Films and Flicks. We'll see you next.